Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's webinar. We are excited to share some very fun stuff today. And the first thing I want to talk about is, just in case you haven't joined us recently, this is the new partner team. They are, there's some old faces and some new faces and folks that you're definitely familiar with from the industry. So I'll give you a second to take down names if you want to. Otherwise, welcome everybody. Today you're going to hear from me and Dan Choquette, our Director of Services at Progress in Corsi. We're going to talk about two pretty big things. Chef Comp, which is just 12 days away now. I'll give you some updates around that, and then I'll hand it off to Dan, and then we'll end with some Q&A. If you have questions during the event, you can drop them in the Q&A or just hold them till the end and we will get through them. Here we go. So registration at this point is starting to hockey puck like we expected. We've got some great companies showing up in droves, and that's kind of fun. And we've got folks, like you can see, we've got folks from all over the planet. Asia Pac is really showing up this year, and that's awesome. We also have a specific partner session that is aimed at y'all. If you have any interest in the things that are going on that impact partners, that's going to be the one to show up for. We're going to hear from our VP of product. Actually, not VP of product. We're going to hear from our product manager, Prashant. He'll be there, and Matt Lyman will be there, and Denise obviously will be there, along with a bunch of other executives from the Corsi business unit. It's going to target all the things that you need to take you through the end of 2021 into 2022. So you'll get a specific invite to this session. If you don't see it on your agenda by the end of next week at the conference site, let us know, and feel free to reach out. We'll get you registered for that session. Speaking of the schedule has been adjusted a little bit. While we thought we were going to be releasing things releasing all of the breakout sessions at once about halfway through the day, instead what we're doing is something much more akin to a live session. We'll have what we're calling the coffee chats early in the morning, where you can join as just a Zoom meeting. It's going to be fun. And then we'll have keynotes, and then we'll have breakouts throughout the day like normal. The day 1 and day 2 keynotes are going to be killer. I'm very excited. We'll obviously hear from Yogesh and all of the leadership in Corsi. So definitely don't miss those. A couple of highlighted sessions I wanted to share. This one is from our friends over at Discount Tire. They they get really detailed in terms of strategy and thought processes and all that kind of stuff around migrating from Red Hat Satellite to Chef. They talk about all of the things that caused them problems. They cover not just the things that caused them problems, but the things that were different that they didn't anticipate. So this is a great session for anybody that you're talking to that's considering that move. We also have a great session from our friends at Google and MITRE about Inspect with Kubernetes. If you've got somebody that's got a Kubernetes cluster that is causing them problems, or that they want to get into scanning for compliance and that kind of stuff, this is a great session. They talk about the pitfalls and the things that they encountered here too. And then our friends over at Aquilas joined us for this panel on secrets management that actually we just recorded yesterday. So this is kind of fresh. They, the way that they solve problems in this conversation is really unique, and certainly a fun way to approach things. Some other stuff that we can talk about around Chef Comp. The thing that we haven't been super loud about yet, we're actually launching a hackathon at the end of the conference. So on September 9th, we start this 6-week hackathon. it's a kind of a new thing for the chef community. I know that historically we've had hack days on the last day of the conference. This year we're doing a hackathon that will obviously bring in some new eyes with serious prize money and serious uh, attention and that kind of stuff. We're working with a company called DevPost. I'm sure that you've all heard of it. They're going to help us manage the hackathon, and we're reaching out to their audience as well. So we'll get a ton of traction there, I'm sure. Some other stuff, we've got the virtual photo booth again, and the chef concert on Tuesday is back. We've got the old favorite Deep Sea Diver, and we brought in a new band called La Kumazik. They are a Haitian band, and between these two bands, we've got a pretty profound story. They're going to talk about all of the things that have impacted us as a planet in the last 16 to 18 months, and all of the things that we are still facing, especially when it comes to the Haiti group. For anyone that doesn't know, they just went through a whole bunch of political unrest and then got hit with a massive earthquake. So poor Haiti's struggling. So it's honestly, the sets are amazing. So I'm excited to share them with you. We haven't done much pushing around sponsorships. We do have obviously some sponsorships still available. We've got a bunch of folks that have signed up and are still getting, so we're still getting some interest. So if you've got interest, you know how to find us. There are some great brand exposure opportunities for you. And the biggest thing for me is to get your brand in front of the people that care about it. And that's what happens at ChefConf. And last thing for me, I wanted to talk about the partner awards. We are back for another year of partner awards. If you weren't here last year, we started, we kicked off last year partner awards that are going to be an annual thing. This year, the partner awards, the winners will be announced during the day one keynote by Yogesh, our CEO at Progress. They'll be featured in a press release that will go out on day two. They'll get social media exposure. Obviously, they'll be on the chef website, all of that kind of stuff. And there are 4 categories that we're awarding this year. The companies that we're highlighting are amazing, and I'm so excited to share them all with you. I think that's it for me. Yes, it is. Dan, you are up. Dan Choquette.
Thanks, Benny.
No problem.
Share my screen here and jump into what I would love to talk to everybody about today. Hey everybody, my name's obviously Dan Choquette. I look after the chef practice of professional services with Progress Software and partner team. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with our partners today. There certainly has been quite a change as it pertains to how we deliver services and what we're delivering and the makeup of our team since the acquisition. And what I wanted to share with you certainly is some of the updates that we have for you, as well as I think some perspectives that I have, and certainly would love to capture your thoughts on how we can work more collaboratively with y'all as it pertains to delivering outcomes to our customers. So one of the things I wanted to kind of set with you is the team. We are, as you may or may not know, comprised of a highly skilled collection of individuals that come from a lot of different experiences, running obviously infrastructure in automated fashion, application development, cloud operations, that certainly are part of organizations and teams that have experience taking, their own employer, if you will, to the next level of automation and cutting edge technology. And our hiring practices as it pertains to chef and now as part of progress has not changed, not one bit. I have carried over the same expectations that I have for candidates that are interested in joining our team. For example, they must demonstrate the ability to code and code well. They need to have great communication skills, both written as well as communicative. They need to be very committed to customer experience and customer success. So that hasn't changed one bit. And one of the things that I'm happy to share with you is some of the um, uh, exercises, if you will, that we ask candidates to complete before we would even consider bringing them into an interview process. And for those of you who are considering broadening your own internal abilities to deliver chef specific services, and that's something that we would be extremely excited to work with you on, I'd be happy to share those. They're on GitHub and they're exercises, and basically they complete the exercises and we evaluate the quality of their code. And if we see enough promise and enough possibility for them to join the services family, then we move forward with the interview process, which, as you can imagine, includes peer reviews and a lot of discussion and discovery on how they deliver success, to their customers. So as part of that experience, we have broadened our hiring parameters globally. So as you can see, there's a number of different regions that we support. Obviously, India, EMEA, Asia, and obviously United States. And I scour the earth for great talent. I don't care where they live, as long as they are very focused on customer success and are committed to learning our product and products, and again, being a great contributor both internally and potentially to the chef community, which I know Benny is very fond of. So what I tried to do here is color code where the progress employees are physically located, and the red dots are where we have partners, and the partners are ones in which we work with to deliver outcomes to customers, whether it's collaboratively side by side, or if I have an overflow of work that would be something that the partner could deliver on behalf of us. I'm certainly interested in those types of relationships. We'll talk a little more about that. So what's changed? As you know, 2020 was a challenging year for a lot of different reasons. Certainly the COVID pandemic, Chef being acquired, and from a services business, we went through some significant change as well. But I'm very proud of the Corsi business unit and our team in terms of how we've worked together to help customers figure out what that journey with Chef looks like moving forward. So as far as our business mix, it certainly has been, staff aug type business, and that's interesting. But a lot of what we have seen recently is a lot of high dollar fixed price engagements. And these are engagements in which we've structured with project management, architects, and obviously consultants that are driving towards providing that customer with a great strategy, and as well as an experience with Chef. A lot of what it includes is some custom development, upgrade work, building pipelines, getting into the operational aspects of our customers' business, and having Chef part of that overall strategy is our engagements that we've seen a lot more of. I talked a little about our hiring process, and it has expanded a bit in terms of the type of folks that we look for. I am looking for more, obviously, code heavy individuals with that type of experience. and also individuals that have some experience with consulting as well. Again, that's how we are structuring our organization moving forward. And it's shifted a little bit from prior to the acquisition to now, where we were and still are in some respects, as you can imagine. We ran our business in a cost plus model, and that was obviously designed to do whatever we could within a specific budget to help our customers be successful with Chef software. That hasn't changed, but Progress is a publicly held company, and they have expectations, and I have experience in this model as well. But we are a profit center services organization. We always want to be astute in making good business deals, but also provide our customer with fair pricing based on the quality of work that they receive from us. So that's been a bit of a shift. What I've also done is expand the level of consultancy within the practice. So for those of you who have been with us for a number of years, we've pretty much had a senior consultant that is well versed in all aspects of chef. But in that examination of our business, we were, seeing a couple different needs from our customers. Needs for a services architect, someone that is incredibly talented with software development, that knows CI/CD, that understands high availability and backup architectures, security architectures. So we find that tiered offering actually has been interesting to a number of our customers, and especially that's been part of some of these fixed projects that we've been working on. But we've also found from our customers a need for not that high powered, expensive, if you will, consultant, but someone that can also come in and write a few cookbooks or build out some inspect profiles. And that services consultant role is one that we've also been hiring in, and that's going to continue to expand. Um, and last but not least, we've also formalized a project management role, especially for the larger projects. And we're certainly amenable to a customer, especially in a time and materials arrangement, the customer providing that product owner, agile term, of delivery, and our consulting team working, with that direction. But for those customers that don't have that type of capacity, we'll provide project management for them. And it goes without saying, and this is some of the analysis that I've done, pre-acquisition and post-acquisition to illustrate the value of services that it brings. We've seen and we've extrapolated this data, from our Salesforce instance. When you sell services or include services with a software sale, you're going to notice that your software deals are going to be larger, because as you can appreciate, what you're doing is you're getting a lot more insight, whether it's during a paid for proof of concept or services, being part of any type of customer discussion. We're there to uncover what is it truly required to drive short and long-term adoption. Is it training? Is it operations? Is it making sure that in the first 90 days, what does that success look like in the customer's eyes? And we certainly want to define that. And again, we found in those types of discussions and engagements, the customers, thinking through, like, gee whiz, I can use this for this use case, use Chef for that use case. And that typically has led to more services work. And as part of that, more of an investment in licenses and other types of technologies. What we've also seen in our analysis is that for that customer who may have made a small investment in Chef or Chef services, depending on what that services approach encompassed, it's going to leave a gap in terms of adoption and the customer, quite frankly, not properly trained on the product. So as you can imagine, there's a correlation there. A lack of a services investment, lack of training is going to more more probable than not lead to churn or a downgrade. And certainly as a subscription-based business, anytime we're able to train the customer and ensure that Chef is part of their operational model, then either the renewal is going to be flat or they're going to expand. And it's that constant touch. I mean, customer success is, as you well know, is an extremely important part of our business, but the services mix in having that focused effort to drive adoption and knowledge is what's going to increase that chance for the customer to expand their investment in Chef. So some of the things that we hold dear in terms of how we position, services, and again, this has been a maturing part of our business, is a greater engagement with sales in the early part of a deal, is defining and understanding what the customer's business goals are. It's great that they love the tech and they love, cookbooks and automate and all the other great technologies that we bring to market. But as you can appreciate, the customer is buying Chef for a reason. It's satisfying a business requirement. And anytime we can understand that, and better yet, quantify that, that's going to justify a services motion. When we don't understand that, and if it's hand wavy and nebulous, then that's not going to provide the ample justification necessary, not just for the services, but for the software as well. What we also try to do is understand the customer's current capabilities. Adoption is key. And if we can, in some way, shape, or form, understand the mix of people, process, and technology, where that is in a maturity scale. And if you've ever been to chef.io and the professional services page, we've added kind of a self-measuring maturity curve where the customer can, in the comforts of their own home, ask themselves the honest question. If I really love Chef, I need it, but where am I in terms of being able to administrate, deploy, and expand? And we obviously want to help in that understanding. So understanding where the customer is in terms of their knowledge of Chef or DevOps or such is, again, extremely important, because that'll help us define a services approach that might be crawl, walk, run, as opposed to run and the customer becoming frustrated or what have you. We always want to provide a path forward. How can we partner best with the customer and give them the vision of what does adoption look like and how to be successful with Chef. And it's not selling 1 billion licenses and $1 million in services day one. It could be a gradual process, because success is something that sometimes can take time, and we are in it in the long haul with a lot of our customers, if not all of them. So again, we try to figure out as far as these various pieces. But one of the things I think do a very good job of, this is kind of goes to hiring the right people, ones that have a great deal of empathy for our customers and understanding where they are in terms of not meeting any type of business operational technical expectations, and having that knowledge is to set ourselves up as a trusted advisor. And we certainly look to support our partners in that effort as well. So kind of getting more of an operational update, we have made some changes in terms of how our product is skewed. We no longer provide the SKU in an hourly increment. It's now weekly. And basically this came from a lot of examination of our engagements. I mean, we rarely deliver less than 40 hours a week from a professional services standpoint. And I think that's attributed to the focus our customers have in maximizing the time we have. And I think it's the way we run our projects, which, no project is ever perfect, but it's at least run well to the point that once the engagement is complete, the customers, they've received what they paid for. So we've just made it simple and just, SKUs for all the different tiers of consultants that we have is in a weekly increment. So if you're in the business of quoting services, that might be something that you would be aware of. Now, what we've also done, and again, this came from a lot of examination, time of the acquisition, is we now provide a a set of bundled offerings. And what the bundled offerings, and I'll show you a little bit of what the bundles are. The bundles are basically an inclusion of consulting time. It could have architect, it could have, depending on the size and the expectation that the customer has for the engagement. It would include, architect time, consulting time. It would also include training, because as you can imagine in the graphic that I flashed earlier, training is critical to ensuring that the customer has the knowledge and how to use the product properly. So we've included training in these bundles. And again, what we've found is, and we sold a few of these, and it's well received. And the bundle itself is priced appropriately. And when I say priced appropriately, it's varying again depending on the amount of time, and it's also open and extensible from a statement of work standpoint. So, for example, if the foundations bundle, if you will, which includes architect time, where we purpose it to establish, best practice architecture, high availability, whatever it may include, that is time that we've allocated, within that bundle. But there's also consulting time in there as well. As you can see, there's also training. It also is flexible enough where we can still define a scope of work and points of emphasis, like, I want to develop, or I want to have inspect profiles written, or I'm looking to implement remediation as part of the engagement. That's totally fine. So this is not necessarily prescriptive in terms of an implementation, but it's prescriptive in the amount of time. And we can always add time to these as a separate SKU. But it's meant to cut back on the amount of back and forth. And how many days do I need? How many weeks do I need? Do I need, this? Do I need that? It's all right here. And it may be a situation after some additional conversations with the client that maybe a bundle isn't appropriate for them. They've already got a bunch of people trained in the latest and greatest as chef, or, budget wise, it may not make sense. That's totally fine. But what its purpose for is to start the conversation, to show an easy path to consuming services. And as you can imagine, this, in our experience in years of services delivery, is an optimal mix that leads to customer success. So one of the things that we kind of have as fairly hard and fast rules is you can't change the bundle configuration. They're skewed. And again, if the bundle's not a good fit, then we can go back to regular SKUs for a senior consultant or project manager, what have you. We invoice up front. It's time material, so this is not fixed price or fixed scope. That's a different conversation, different engagement model. There's obviously not a lot of traveling done these days, but if travel and expenses are something that will come up in a discussion, then they'll be invoiced separately. And as mentioned, they're separate SKUs. And again, we certainly want the statement of work to capture the spirit of the engagement. There's template language in there, and certainly if the customer has some specific call outs that they'd like to have defined on a contractual level, I'd work with you on that. That's never an issue. What we've also formalized are assessments, and we'll talk a little more about, I think, how this is a great opportunity from a partnership standpoint. The assessments come in 3 flavors: 1 week, 2 weeks, and 4 weeks. And as you can imagine, they're different in terms of involvement in how we're working with the customer. So typically, a 1 week assessment is, we typically are selling these as it pertains to a customer that's interested in upgrading from like Chef 12 or 13, or they're also interested in having us come in and do an audit of their cookbooks. They have a couple hundred cookbooks, looking to consolidate, look at their pipelines, whatever it is. A week is a good amount of time. As you can see in the 2 week and 4 week engagements, and these can also be pre-sales as well. The 2 week and 4 week engagements, this is where we're getting a lot more involved in, again, the people, process, and technology part of our customers' business, and understanding not just where they are today, but where they want to go. I see this as a great opportunity now. I would certainly, as a partner, I'm sure you conduct assessments today on your customers' business environment or operational and technical current state and provide a path moving forward. We do the same thing. So in our assessments, we provide recommendations on the back end. And again, these are something that we can certainly partner with and deliver jointly and expand. So, and say if it's a 4-week assessment, but your core business is providing various recommendations on cloud migration or cloud strategy, and then there's the chef part. You guys do the cloud strategy, and we'll handle the chef part. So that's a great opportunity for us to work together. What we're also bringing to market, and this will be announced at Chef Conf, and I want to provide you all with a sneak preview, is chef managed services. This has been in the almost 3 years I've been part of Chef Now Progress, something that we've been asked to think through. The customer, they've lost their administrator, or they don't have the administrative capacities to upgrade chef, deploy chef, what have you. They're not fairly skilled in writing cookbooks or inspect profiles or what have you. They don't have the time. They're already doing their day jobs, and whether writing applications or looking after infrastructure or what have you. They love chef, but they don't have the time. They don't have the resources. We, as you may be aware, have obviously hosted chef. So they may not be a hosted chef, but they want somebody to look after the infrastructure. These are customers that have implemented chef, and it's running in Azure or VMs or what have you. So that's also the type of customer that it's a great fit for managed services. But these are customers that are bringing their own infrastructure, and they're bringing their own licenses. So as part of what we're looking to bring to market, doesn't include licenses. This is a managed service offering, and how we engage is obviously very important. And with managed services, you need to make sure that you're aligned with what your customers' expectations are in terms of the service offering and what it does, and being clear about what it does not do. And as a service provider providing managed services, certainly we need to make sure that we're able to meet whatever expectations they have. So a lot of what is discovered in those types of discussions and conversations is extrapolated in an assessment. Now, the assessment, this could be an hour conversation, and it could be a week, it could be a couple of weeks. It just depends on obviously the size and complexity of the customer's environment. What we're also making sure is that we want to avoid snowflakes. And I use the term snowflakes in the context of operational snowflakes, technical snowflakes, in terms of how we have access to systems and perform our duties as a managed services provider. And how we accomplish that is going to be very similar to how we service customers today through our support organization, where you log in, you state the type of issue you have, troubleshooting, bug, what have you. There'll be a drop down that says managed services. You select that. If you're a managed services customer, we need to, as part of onboarding and defining what the operational runbook is of how we engage, you'll pick managed services, and whatever your request is or issue is, that whether it be a reactive or proactive type of request, that'll go right to our team. And then based on the operational runbook, we'll engage with you. So that's a way of tracking any type of change requests. Our managed service is not going to be one in which we go in and change all cookbooks without you knowing or what have you. That is not that. It's going to be the customer that dictates to us what they want to have done. They may not know how to do it, which is why they're looking at purchasing managed services or have purchased managed services, but we do it for them. So as a partner, if you have staff aug contracts where you're responsible for the care and feeding of security or applications or infrastructure or cloud instances, whatever, and you're not experts on chef, but they have chef, this might be a resale opportunity or opportunity to partner to provide more of an in-depth service offering to the customer, where you're now looking after their chef implementation. We must have administrative control, because as part of the service will also include updates and any type of upgrade type of work. And that's where understanding in an assessment the current state is. Like if they're on chef 12 and that's that's a big bite of the apple to take on. So there might be a gradual approach in how to get the customer to be no longer a snowflake, but conform to the latest and greatest versions of Chef and best practices and architectures and such. So in terms of pricing, and you see here, I've been pretty transparent with our pricing in terms of what we charge. So this is what we're thinking of as it pertains to chef managed services. And as you can see, the way we've defined our pricing, it's not necessarily based on service tiers, but it's more based on the enablement and complexity of the customer. So basically, as a rule of thumb, and I have a spreadsheet, and I'm happy to set up a one-on-one call with you and kind of go through this. But the managed service pricing is predicated on number of automate servers if they have high availability, number of cookbooks, number of policy files, number of pipelines, obviously, and the more advanced they are from a pipeline standpoint, because that's how we plan on upgrading or even deploying chef clients, is that it's through the pipeline. We don't want to go to each system and perform knife commands. That's just labor costs that we don't want to pass on to the customer. So we're running the managed services model very similar to how we would set up our customers, is to find pipelines, do the upgrades to the pipeline, push out cookbooks, use test kitchen, linting, with the linting process as a best practice. That's how we're going to be running our managed service operations. So one thing to call out here, this is not a service which is an all you can eat. We may look at that model moving forward. And when I say an all you can eat, we're not going to commit to writing new cookbooks, deploying new policy files or inspect profiles. It's maintaining what's there today. If the interest is there from the customer to deploy new license, buy a bunch of new licenses, and they need a whole bunch of new cookbooks and inspect profiles or what have you, I look at that as new services work that we would perform by a different team. So there's going to be, as part of delivery, there's going to be a specific team, chef managed services, that again goes back to the same hiring practices that we've established. They've got to know how to code. They've got to be skilled in DevOps and pipelines and operations. And that's how we'll service the customer. Because part of what this is not just write a couple cookbooks and that's it. That would be it's part of the service. But we're also looking to provide best practices and be that trusted advisor of the customer, because we're going to look at their automate server, we're going to look at their info server, and we're going to see things that if they're peculiar, we're going to let the customer know. We'll provide this in a monthly status report, quarterly conversations, and bring visibility to the customers that would call out some things that they may want to consider and change. That's value. At a different level than just updating cookbooks. And that's something that not only we can do independently, but work with a partner to deliver collaboratively as well with the customer. So I guess kind of summarize, and I'm sure most of you know this already, there's a number of different opportunities that I think we see in how we can partner a little bit better. I mean, there's the resale opportunity. If you're helping your customers solve challenges and chef's a part of that solution, then there's the resale opportunity. You can certainly resell services based on your contract with us. As I mentioned earlier, we have a number of partners globally that we will leverage from time to time to deliver on a timeline that quite frankly might not be attainable for us, because we're just very busy right now, and hopefully we'll continue to be busy. That's something we do today. So if you have an appetite to build out a chef services centric type business, we'd love to help you in that, and we can talk through how we hire and talk through kind of what that model might look like in terms of partnering with you on a delivery type model. And we'll also work with partners in the antithesis of that, where you may be already well versed in chef, but you're looking for just a little bit more of a different flavor of an engagement. It could be architecture work. It could be someone to bang away at cookbooks or what have you, or it could be the managed services piece. And that's something we can certainly help with. I talked about collaborating on assessments. So in assessments that you do today that might require an opportunity to provide guidance to the customer on how to automate deployment of applications or infrastructure, what have you. That's something we can certainly work with you on. And I think the managed services piece is also an interesting partnership model. Again, if you're already providing some type of managed service to your customer or a staff log, what have you, and it's an opportunity to expand your contractual footprint with the customer, the managed services might also be an interesting opportunity. That is all I have. Again, appreciate the opportunity, and I don't know if we have any questions. I really haven't been looking, to be honest with you. But I'll turn it over to our moderator, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan and Benny, for sharing all the insights. Just checking the Q&A section if we have any open questions. Okay, nothing at the moment. To all the attendees, thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar. As mentioned earlier, this is a recorded session and we'll email it to you as soon as the on-demand version is ready. And so with that, thanks again for attending and have a wonderful rest of your day.